Welcome to Gorge Real Estate Talk, a collaboration between Windermere Real Estate and Gorge Media, where guests join in insider discussion into all things real estate and a passion for our community. Hey everybody, you're definitely going to want to listen to this episode of Gorge Real Estate Talk today because we have Sam Struck with Strucksured Interiors. And you know what she can do for you is if you're looking to buy a house and you're just not sure about how to fix it up, she has a lot of resources and her company can come in and just give you advice on how to set that up if you're looking for a remodel. But she has an amazing history that influences her interior design. And you'll want to definitely take a listen so you can learn more about what this local service offers. Strucksured Interiors will be here for you, so make sure and take a listen today. Welcome to Gorge Real Estate Talk. We are here today with Sam Struck of Strucksured Interiors. Hey, Sam.
Hello.
It's so good to have you here. You know, one of the things I really love, first of all, I watch your Instagram page. Oh my gosh, it's so great. Can you tell me what your Instagram page is? Tell our listeners today.
It's just at Strucksured. So STRUCKSURED.
Okay. Well, you'll definitely, if you're a listener with us here today, you'll definitely want to follow Sam because she has some great interior design ideas and things like that. But first of all, I just want to know more about you. So, Sam, how did you end up in Hood River?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. The joke is that I married in. So
you married into Hood River.
I married into Hood River, yes. My husband is like fifth generation farming family here in the Gorge. So when I met him at Oregon State, he was like dead set on never moving back to Hood River. He was like, I'm never going back. I'm not having a family there. It's too small. I would never do it. And then I visited while we were dating.
Oh, yes. So you fell in love.
I fell in love with Hood River. And so then that like helped me fall in love even more with him. So no, just kidding.
That's a great story.
But yeah, no, we eventually just through our path in life, decided to come back so that he could try his hand at orcharding and started a hard cider business. And then we've been here for the last 7 years now.
So you've been here for 7 years. And what's his hard cider business?
It is river cider. So
oh, yeah.
It's a good one. It can be found locally. Rosars, Volcanic, Crush, a bunch of other little places.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. So you have quite a history of getting to Hood River.
Yes.
So you mentioned, you were in college.
Yep.
And what drew you to interior design?
So my passion for design started actually in high school. I went to Centennial High School in Portland, and then they had a really good trade program there where you could do drafting or tech theater. And so I started doing drafting in high school. So I was doing AutoCAD and floor plans and stuff like that while I was 14, 15, 16. And then I super loved theater design when I was in high school as well. So
wow, that's impressive.
Originally, I thought I would go do theater design, but then the reality of like needing to live in New York or LA was just not super appealing to me. So I ended up choosing interior design at Oregon State and just really loved the problem-solving component of it and really just getting to know a user, what their needs are, and then really getting to design a space around that. So that's kind of where the passion
So did you start by working for someone else?
I did, yes. Yeah.
And that was in Portland?
Yeah. So, well, actually, before that, my husband and I lived in Singapore for a couple years.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It's a funny little side step, but yes.
So you went from OS...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We went from Corvallis
to Singapore.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's quite a change.
So I did design in Singapore for a little under 2 years and did residential design there, had to learn about feng shui and work with Shifu masters. And that was like a whole new world of design that I had no familiarity with, but learned nonetheless. So that was my first job out of college, was working in Singapore as a designer. And then moved back to Portland and then worked for other designers in the Portland area before we moved to Hood River.
So what was it like for you trying to find a job in interior design in Singapore? How did you do that? Was it by accident, or how
no,
did you just knock on doors?
Literally just like sent resumes and portfolios and just waited to see who would reply. So I probably sent honestly 100 resumes. It's a little bit complex to navigate being an expat trying to get a job overseas. They take priority to citizens. So you essentially have to find a company that's willing to pay these like really high taxes and levies for hiring an expat instead of a citizen of Singapore. So I was paid under minimum wage in the state of Oregon at the time to offset the taxes that the company had to pay. But I really only had 3 companies that were willing to like even give me a chance. And so I just picked the one that was closest to my house, and that was it. So,
oh my gosh, what a great story. Do you think that your time in Singapore has influenced your design criteria, or, you know, how you design things? Is there an influence there?
Totally. I mean, I wouldn't say that I design with feng shui in mind. I feel like I am not like quoting or naming myself as a feng shui designer or anything like that. But there certainly are principles that I learned during my time there that carry through with me. A good, easy one to pull from is, generally speaking, red in a kitchen is not allowed. It's a very hot color. So the theory behind that in feng shui is if you have a red kitchen, you're cooking hot foods, then it's more likely to make you angry. And so it invokes anger. So it's not recommended to put red in a kitchen. So I generally don't put red in kitchens because I could see the theory behind that. And then there's like a few other random odd ones that it's more like wind patterns where air conditioning units are placed or mirrors are placed, things like that, but not deep down into feng shui where it's like you have to put a crystal in this corner and a waterfall in this corner to make good
Oh my
chi.
gosh, we could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
This is so cool. So as far as feng shui goes, are there like the front door color and things like that? Do you pull in those type of elements?
Well, I think the westernized view of feng shui is that there's these sort of general principles that you can live by, but in true reality, the colors are all derivatives of your feng shui panel. So they're all totally individual. It would require me hiring a shifu to like go through what your birth date is, when you were born, what your partner's birth date is, when they were born, and then like combining all of that mapping to get the color that's like the best chi for you.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that?
Yeah, so we could do it totally, but nobody has really ever been like, I want you to go to that extreme of like mapping out my life and making sure my chi is really good. So, but we could totally do it.
So when you were in Singapore, what was your favorite project that you worked on?
We had a project where we designed a Hello Kitty themed living room. That was a very real thing. I have like renderings of it. My husband was always like, you should put this on your portfolio. And I'm like, no, please, no.
I don't want somebody else to do
this.
They're
like literally so strange. But it was like a very unique, I think only in Singapore would this be a thing where the entire room was pink, custom cabinetry shaped in, you know, the shape of Hello Kitty, whatever her name is, and then like light fixtures all with her face on it.
So the whole thing, top to bottom, rug,
yes,
carpet,
everything. Oh yeah,
oh
furniture,
my gosh,
all of it was pink and in the shape of.
Now, honestly, I gotta say that I didn't expect you to say that. I had no idea. Yep. So that's really interesting. So kind of fast forward. So you go back, you end up finding yourself back in Portland.
Yeah.
You do some design jobs there for different companies. And what was your favorite job in Portland?
So most of my time in Portland was spent with one designer, and she tends to work with like the top tier of the market. She's very low profile, no public website, nothing. She doesn't really like to have a forward facing business name. So she's all referral based. And we had only one project that I worked on in the couple of years that I worked with her. And it was a huge 30,000 square foot house off in Oregon City.
30,000
yes.
square feet.
Yes. So it was giant. So I don't have a favorite because it was the only one. So it just took all of our time and energy. So, and then when I moved to Hood River, that project was still ongoing. So I didn't get to see it fully completed, but it was a huge project.
So
for sure.
Curious about that. What was the time frame in that 30,000 square feet? I mean, if it was still going when you moved here, was it like 2 years, a year? I mean, how does that work? What does that look like?
For a home that is this custom and had such intricate detailing, I mean, the whole aesthetic of it was more like French chateau castle. So it was like very specific copper detailing, stone detailing. All of the inside of it was to be like very custom made. So I think the clients probably went into it thinking it would be like a 2 to 3 year build, but it ended up being more like a 5 to 7 year build just because of how complex the design was. So, but they were fine with it. This is like their forever estate that they were building. So they were like, whatever it takes, we just want it. But
wow.
it's wild.
What a great thing to have in your portfolio though.
Yeah.
To have worked on. So then you come to Hood River.
Yes.
And then how did you end up starting your own business?
So the name Strucksured is an offshoot of my last name. So I'm Sam Struck. And so it came to me in the middle of the night. So I was just like, Strucksured, this is it. And so it was just a funny little random side dream that brought the name to me. But when we moved to Hood River, I wasn't sure at the time if the market would handle another designer. There's a couple other gals here that do design, and I just wasn't sure what the market looked like. I thought it would be too small. But it honestly was just word of mouth. It was very organic. People heard that I did this, friends of family, just sort of would reach out, hey, Sam, can you help me with my kitchen? Can you help me with some paint colors, whatever it was? And so I kind of just said yes to everything until my first son came along. And then I was like, oh no, this is hard to manage this with a child. So it kind of became this thing that my husband and I really had to be like, okay, are we starting this business? Are we doing this? What does this look like? And then it kind of just took off from there where we both said, okay, yeah, we're going to like put our kiddo in daycare and like make this a business and rent an office and then like offer the service to the community. So it's really just been an organic growth since then.
Wow, that's a great story. So quick question though is how difficult was the process for you in getting a business up and running? Aside from having a baby and a family and all the other things that you were doing,
Sure.
I mean, what was that like to navigate that process?
I will say my work and my experience in Portland with another designer that was just really small scale really taught me the inner workings of how she ran her business. I was integrated into like her billing, her systems and processes. And so I really learned a lot with that direct relationship. So I felt like I had a starting place with knowledge. And then my husband starting a hard cider business, he had navigated like how to register with the state or how to protect your entity or whatever. So I have really just always felt like I had resources around me, and I've been willing to ask the question of like, I don't know how I'm doing this, but I'm doing it.
So you had a framework kind of that to
Mm-hmm.
follow. Oh my gosh, that's so great that you were able
Yes.
to do that. Because, when I ask that question of business owners, it could go either way.
Right.
Oh, it was a piece of cake for me because of this, or it was so hard to navigate the steps to get it
Right.
up and running. It would just roadblock after roadblock.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it was because of your history, it was pretty seamless for you.
Totally. I would say like the bigger shift where I started stepping into a lot of more insecurity or just like not knowing how to navigate it was when we started hiring people or bringing on a team. That shift felt huge, and that took just a lot of learning and growing and a lot of growing pains to like figure that one out. Because I think my husband was a solopreneur. I worked under a solopreneur. So those systems helped me get started. But then the idea of like bringing on employees, hiring benefits, all of those things, that felt like super out of my comfort zone.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Like quarterly reports, you know, and people
totally.
think, you know, you're independent contractor maybe, and you think a quarterly is just you paying your taxes, not the quarterly payroll report.
Right.
Totally different thing, but somehow the word gets thrown around like they're the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, so navigating that. So how many employees do you have now?
So we have to think about this. I was my first employee. My husband is also technically my second employee.
You have to hire your husband.
So I did have to hire him for operations, because he's just brilliant at that. And then we have 3 other full-time designers and then another gal that does procurement. So there's technically like 6 of us on payroll right now.
Wow, that I am so impressed. So you came to town 7 years ago.
Yes.
And you were like, well, here I am. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And what year did you actually say, I'm starting my business this year, today? What year was that?
So that would have been, my first was born in 2015, and it was a year after that I started really investing in the business. So it was probably 2016-ish. And then I didn't actually hire anyone until literally less than a year ago. So it was pretty much myself for the first several years. And then during COVID, we actually grew a ton. So the market did not shut down. You know this.
Right. Right. We all thought it was the world was going to end and we're all going to be dead in the water. And then it went the other way.
Yes. Yeah. So rapid fire, we just had our project scopes and sizes and budgets increase significantly. So I was forced to either say no to projects or hire people. So it's really only been within the last year that we brought people on as employees. And then the year prior to that, we had a lot of the team was just contractor status and then rolled them over.
So in your procurement department, what challenges have you faced there? Sorry, I got to ask the question, right? I mean,
it's a very volatile market. So one of the things so I didn't do procurement until about a year ago. And that happened because we recognized that builders were having really a difficult time making sure that materials were getting to the site. It was a ton of work to track back orders or discontinued items, and they just wanted to be able to focus on the construction. So we started offering procurement for both the interior hard surfaces and furnishings and soft goods so that the builder could focus on construction, and then the client just knew that those items were being tracked and dealt with. But it's still a very volatile market. We still are seeing price increases happening regularly, not as crazy as a year ago. But essentially what it boils down to is ordering ahead of time as much as you can. So we're, right now at framing on 3 very large new construction homes, and we're already placing the furniture orders on those projects because some of those custom furniture pieces are a minimum of 10 to 12 months out.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And that's obviously we're all hearing that, but I was just curious how that works for you when you guys are kind of under a deadline.
Yeah. It's just way in advance. You have to just as soon as a client says yes to something, we essentially order it. And we have just under 3,000 square feet of storage. So we just store it as needed and warehouse it until it's ready to go to the job site. So
you store it at your office space?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yep.
Where is your office space?
So we are located in the old Slingshot space in the Wasco Avalanche building. So we also have a great view of the river you.
Yes.
So we have just about 2,600 square feet on the top floor between Slingshot's old office and then our current office. And then we've got 2,600 square feet below us as well, which is all of our warehousing that we have for projects.
Well, that's nice that your warehouse is right there.
Yes.
Do you
totally.
ever walk through it and go, okay, what the heck? What is all this? Yeah.
Yes. This is why, I mean, I'm somewhat removed from the procurement side because I'm more focused on the design. So when I walk down there and I see just like mountains of boxes, it's sort of like, what is all of this? But Sarah, who manages our procurement, she is brilliant. We like have such a great receiving and labeling system. So when you receive a box on a project, it automatically gets a structured project tag. It's like labeled with the project, the room it goes in, and it's all tracked and organized. So it's a feat, but we're finding our groove for sure.
Well, that's cool. So tell me about the current projects you're working on in the Gorge.
Oh, it's a funny one. I would say like, honestly, mid-COVID, I would have said our average project was, new construction homes in the $1.5 to $2 million mark, where we are working with the builder contractor to like finish out the selections on the inside, help with interior detailing, and then helping the client through their furnishings and soft goods. So kind of the last finishing pieces on the project.
So you got to put the icing on the cake.
Yes.
The fun part.
Yes. But now going into like last year, we have 3 projects that are all in the $3 to $5 million mark, and they're right at like 7,000 square feet in size. So we have seen this trend towards bigger houses, higher price points. And so we have just been like a little bit frantic trying to cope with these like really big houses. So, on a 7,000 square foot house, we have one of them that has 26 rooms. So,
oh my gosh.
Yes.
How many of those 26 rooms are bedrooms?
Let me think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, so that's interesting. 26
Yes,
rooms.
yes.
And 4 of them are bedrooms. So the other 22 are
Bathrooms, gym, TV rooms.
Oh, gym. That's a thing now.
Library. So it's more specialty rooms, side sitting rooms, reading rooms, things like that, where there's less bedrooms and more specialty focused rooms for a specific purpose. Offices, a his office, a hers office, and then craft rooms, things like that, where there's a lot of rooms, but they're very specific. So.
Wow, that's so cool. So of the current projects how many current projects are you working on right now?
So we only take about 3 of that size in a year, just because they just require so much heavy lifting. And then I'm a big believer in design being accessible to the community. So we take on a handful of smaller scope, smaller projects in the community, because we just really are passionate about that too. So at any given time, we may have, another 5-ish of smaller scope. Maybe it's just a kitchen remodel, or it's a remodel in general, or a bathroom even. So we don't aim for just the big ones. Those are definitely the bread and butter, but we also like really desire for design to just be accessible to everyone, the average person here in the Gorge. Right. So we have one project we just visited today where, we're considering adaptive use in the house for a child that has accessibility and mobility needs. And so, things like that are really passion projects for us. We really want people to feel like they can still come to us for the everyday living instead of just the huge ones.
Well, how cool is that? I am so impressed. So tell me, of the current projects, I'm not going to ask which one's your favorite, because I'm sure they all are. And it sounds like maybe the little ones are great too.
Yeah.
But so how does an interior designer get paid? Are you by the hour? Are you a contract? Do you contract? I mean, how does that work?
So there's essentially 3 different revenue streams or ways that we charge in our business. New construction homes, we typically charge a flat fee. So that is a percentage of your estimated construction budget. So we tend to fall right at the 7 to 8% mark. An architect generally falls in the 10 to 12 mark. So if you're looking at a $1 million house, then a design fee would be anywhere between 7 to 8% of that for that house. And that would include the selections of your furnishings, your soft goods, like from start to finish, us helping along the way. Now, that's not necessarily the case for every project. Sometimes somebody just wants help with hard surface selections, or they just want help with furnishings and soft goods. If they're not looking for the full breadth of that service, then we would just charge an hourly rate. So we charge $200 an hour for our interior design services. I recognize that when people hear an hourly rate, they're like, what does this mean?
I know, right?
And so we really do try our best to like demystify what a total investment looks like. So a lot of times that's me going to a house, looking at it, seeing what the scope is, and then we put together a proposal and we outline what we think are the average estimate of time it would take to complete that scope, so that you as a client can look at that and be like, okay, I can see I'm looking at this room will take 8 hours. And so this is what the fee is going to look like. And then you have control to like pick and choose or change things as needed. So I'm a very flexible person.
So it's kind of like a menu of services.
Totally.
Like here's the service up here. And,
right.
But if you really just want to, pick and choose
Yeah.
which one. And so kind of maybe an off the topic question, but
Yeah.
maybe related is, so that's your fee, which is separate from the cost of these items.
Right.
Is there any of the cost of those items that's ever included?
Yeah, so that's the third revenue stream
there we
on
go.
the procurement.
I didn't
You
even
are
know
already
that.
leading us there. So then if we're including furnishing, soft goods, and the procurement part of it, then we charge, the pricing structure on procurement is essentially retail price less 15%. So we pass a 15% trade discount, and then we charge a 10% procurement fee. So what that does is it helps a client know I'm always going to be below the retail price, and the service of tracking, ordering, warehousing, receiving is included in that number. So I feel like it's a pretty competitive strategy, since, it keeps you below retail, and then our services are included in that. And more often than not, our clients are like, dude, this is worth like more than that, because I don't have to think about how this item is going to get there. And, on a house that's, even on a 5,000 or 4,000 square foot house, if we're furnishing all of it, you're talking about hundreds of items, because we're, procuring sheets, duvet covers, pillows, mattresses,
Yes, I get it.
So it's hundreds of items. So if they know they can just have that package ordered and delivered and show up and know that it's installed, it's a win for them. So, but we do also have clients that prefer to like manage their own ordering and shopping. And in which case, if that's where you're at, then we just send a shopping list and the client handles their ordering, and they can do it from there.
I got to say, boy, I wish I would have known you 60 days ago. I'm building 3 vacation rentals on my property, and my friend Kim Chamness, who's one of the principal brokers here, I was like, I don't know what color. Can we,
Yep.
I don't know. It's not my
Sure.
thing. It's hard.
It is hard.
It's
really
for
hard.
me who has ADD and there's 5 million choices of red,
Yes.
well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I get it.
Yeah.
We're here for you with your next vacation.
Yes,
month,
yes,
so-
I will remember this conversation, because
Totally.
I keep thinking, and my project manager will call and say, okay, well, I just need to know what sink you want to put in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, send me over the edge. It's
Yes.
like, oh, is it going to be a copper sink? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Oh,
Right.
ugh. Yeah. What
a
kind
lot.
of outlet covers?
Yeah.
Outlet covers? Like, really? You want me to choose an outlet cover?
Yes.
You choose it. So,
Yes.
well, Sam, I have so enjoyed this conversation.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know today?
No, honestly, like we're super approachable. So if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We also just love giving feedbacks and tips and tricks. People DM us all the time for like, hey, what was that backsplash tile? Or what was this? Or where's that light fixture from? We definitely are happy to be a resource. So if you've got any questions, send them to us. We're happy to answer.
And what's your phone number?
541-436-4341 is the office number. So give it a ring. We'll get you connected.
Great. That sounds great. Well, thank you for being on the show today. I just really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great. Did you know that Windermere real estate agents in the Columbia River Gorge have an average of over 15 years experience helping local families move around and start their next chapter? That's right. At Windermere Real Estate, we are locally owned and believe strongly in supporting our communities of the Gorge. But our marketing reaches far beyond the Northwest, providing exposure all over the world. Are you thinking about buying or selling a home? Stop in to see us. We love to talk real estate. Windermere Real Estate, serving all of the communities of the Columbia River Gorge.